What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Everyday Witness. We are finally back in Louisiana. Thank the Lord. It's been a long summer, fun summer, but we're back now, and I get to introduce y'all to some of my people back here in Shreveport. You've already met one with Chris, but now y'all get to meet another, and it's actually Chris's brother. And this is the one, the only Kevin Robinson. For those of y'all who don't know, Kevin and I grew up together in Broadmoor. We've known each other pretty much since middle school.
Way too
And
long.
yeah, a little too long. We're kind of a little mad at each other still, but we served last year with He didn't serve as an intern, but he was pretty much an intern last year with us with student ministry, and we got real close last year. And
Did everything an intern does.
you pretty much
Just
did.
didn't get paid.
You went free. We went free for some trips, but we did everything last year. And Kevin actually served as the Broadmoor intern this year, so me and him got to serve on different sides of Beach Week. Shout out Beach Week for Concord and Broadmoor. But Kevin, appreciate you coming on, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me.
For those of you who don't know, Kevin is also one of the only two D1 athletes I'm friends with, who for some reason both play baseball and both are in Louisiana. No, not this year though. Shout out Brennan. But baseball has been a really big part of your life. But besides that, Kevin, why don't you kind of give them an introduction as to who you are, where you're from, and everything?
What's up, guys? My name's Kevin, as Paxton said. Yeah, I played college baseball at Northwestern State University. I'm a pitcher over there, and that's just kind of been like I've always played baseball. I've always done baseball. That's how I grew up. My dad played baseball. Both my brothers played baseball. Like it's just been a part of my life, and it's been cool to that's God has used that in his own little way. Because if I didn't play baseball, it wouldn't. I don't think I'd have as good of a story as I have right now. Because that's like a part of what God has used in my life to provide for me and provide like a way a way to share my testimony, basically. So I grew up at Broadmoor. I've gone here for 20 years, which is crazy to think about. I've known Paxton for probably 10 of those years.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, something like that, 8 to 10 years. But yeah, I grew up in the church. I got baptized at a really young age. I think I was 9 when I got baptized first time, and it was just like I knew who Jesus was. I knew he was my savior. I like accepted him into my heart and everything. But it life wasn't hard. Life was just kind of easy. I was just trying to get by, check off the boxes of coming to church on Wednesdays, just kind of doing everything in life. And so life was just kind of easy at that point. And then I get into my middle school days, and finally my my grandmother passes away, and life kind of just takes a toll. Life just kind of flips upside down. And at that point, fast forward 4 years or 5 years, through those 5 years, I had 4 people pass away in my family that are really close to me. And my mom had breast cancer that 5th year. And so it's like, all right, life just kind of went from really easy to really hard at one point, like in a split moment. Because if you really think about it, 5 years, like it goes by in an instant. And like, especially when you're in high school and in college and doing all that kind of stuff, it's like, wow, like I'm about to be a junior in college and it feels like I'm still a freshman. So, um, but yeah, right after that, it's like, all right, it's a sink or swim moment. Like I'm either gonna drown in the world or I'm gonna try and swim with God and allow Him to let me walk on water. And so, at that point, I was like, I don't want to go into what the world has for me. Like, there's no point. Like, I don't want to, I don't want to drown my sorrows in the things that the world has because it's going to take me down the worst path possible. And so I was kind of like, all right, let me have these people that care about me around me and want to help me and let me go to them for advice because I can't do this all on my own. Obviously, none of us can. We have to have that community. And so I just I just kind of used the resources I had, which was the people I had around me. Luckily, I had a loving family who kind of didn't force me to go to church, but at the same time did because that they knew that was the best thing for me. And even on those Sundays I didn't want to show up or I didn't want to come, I still showed up because my family pushed me. And so there's a Bible verse that me and my family always go by, and it's Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I have for you to prosper you, not to harm you, to give you a hope and a future. And it's like, all right, God, like you have a plan through all this. I might not know the plan, but you know the plan, and that's all that matters. Like I had to have that faith. I had to have the faith in you that you will get me through everything that you've got me through, and use it for my benefit and use it for your benefit to further your kingdom and not my own. And so that's really ultimately what my story is like, all right, God, I got to trust you in some type of way, and it can't be all like about me. It's got to be using my story and what you've done in my life to further you and not further me. And so, yeah, that's basically how the short version of my testimony is like, all right, God, like I had to trust you at a really young age, and you've gotten me through so much that like there's no way I can't believe what you've done in my life because I've seen it firsthand. So
It's awesome to hear. Well, you talked a lot about trust. Can I ask you, how has trust really played into not just your walk with faith, but also sharing that faith with others while playing baseball at such a high level? How has that kind of been helping you as a Christian, also being able to be a witness to your teammates and to everybody you come into contact with at NSU?
I think going through everything I went through at the beginning of my like at an early age in my life, like it helped me to. We always talk about trust the process in sports. And it's like, all right, I'm really young for my grade. I'm not like obvious. I'm not like the most athletic person out there, but I'm going to work my butt off and just trust the process. And so building like having that trust in God like allowed me to have that trust in myself that I can get through these hard times and that I can't do it by myself. So I have to trust other people to help me get through that. And so that's trust was always a big thing for me because to to get through the hardships in life, like you have to have that trust in order to get through it, or you're not going to get through it. So that was a big part for me, especially playing sports. It's like, all right, I don't see the benefit from what I'm doing, but let's keep going because I'm going to trust the process. And so obviously you play sports, so you've seen that you've had to trust the process, and it's like, all right, like I just gotta keep trusting what God has planned for my life, and if it's not sports in the end, it's not sports in the end. So
That's awesome to hear. And you talk about a lot about sports. How is being able to share your faith almost just effortlessly with your teammates? Like, how has that kind of shaped how you go about your everyday life?
um, I'd say it wasn't always easy. It still isn't easy because
Yeah.
like I'm around those guys 24/7, so it's
Hmm.
always like, all right, I don't know, like there's a thin line of like, all right, but at the same time, I got to be like, God, like you put me here to share the gospel. I'm not here just to play baseball. I'm here to share your word and doing FCA and doing all that kind of stuff, BCM and all that at our school. It's helped me a lot because I wouldn't be, I don't think I'd have the confidence in myself to share the word if I didn't have those people around me pushing me daily, especially guys like on the team that are involved in the same things as me, like pushing me to be better and pushing me to um, be the best version of myself. Which obviously, like you, if you're not the best version of yourself, then it's kind of hard to do what God's calling you to do. So like, He's gonna bring out the best in you for the best for Him. Does that make sense?
No,
Yeah,
absolutely. I understand that completely. Even going to a Baptist university,
yeah,
it's even harder because you would think going to Baptist university that everybody there is already going to believe,
yeah,
and that is the exact opposite. There
mm-hmm.
may be not even 5% of the people, even at a small college that I go to, that believe.
Yeah,
But the one thing I do know is that obviously, like you said, FCA and BSM, well, BSM for us, but like all these great faith-based organizations that the school puts together are great opportunities not only to grow in your faith, but also to help you with sharing your faith
yeah,
because you have great people around you that are there for you, empowering you and doing their best to put their trust in you to help them also grow in their faith,
one
which is
hundred
a really
percent.
cool opportunity.
Yeah, it is. And kind of going off that, like coming out of high school, I was committed to the school you're at,
Go
and
Tigers.
I was
Almost
co-
had them.
I was committed to ETBU coming out of high school, and then I was on the phone with our head coach now, and which he was the assistant coach at the time, and I got an offer to go play at Northwestern State. It was like, all right, um, one, we got school over here that's a Baptist school, and two, we got a school over here called Demon Land, and it's like, all right, which one do we choose? And so ultimately, I chose Northwestern State, and I was like, it's me and my mom had argued about this all the time because I thought I needed to be at a Baptist school because I thought it was going to further me in my faith even more. But ultimately, going to, like, you hear Brandon Lake talk about this a lot. It's like God calls us to go to the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, the dark, like, I thought the darkness was going to demon land because it's like, all right, that gives me, I feel like that gives me the most opportunity to share my faith and to grow in my faith because there's so many more opportunities for me to share what has happened in my life and do all that through FCA, through BCM, and all that. So ultimately, I chose Northwestern State because I wanted to have that opportunity to go share my faith with the darkness that I thought like would be there.
Going off of that, I do want to kind of say, because like I've seen it from some of my friends that have gone to universities and places that Baptist student ministry and FCA, like those really aren't the biggest things, but also the universities that like the Lord and the gospel are not really shared
Yeah.
a lot. Can you kind of take us through like your first, I don't know, I say first time there, but like your first year there and how like you can see the difference between obviously a Baptist university because your brother, you know,
Yeah.
your brother went to ETBU with me, but like, can you kind of tell me like how different it was for you going into an environment where obviously besides the church, like it was a place where primarily the gospel would just wasn't there.
Yeah. So like y'all have chapel, y'all have all that at school, like everything. Like y'all have like mandatory stuff that y'all have to go
Mm-hmm.
to. At Northwestern, we don't like we're a liberal arts school. Like we're
Yeah.
not we don't have mandatory chapel. We don't have mandatory FCA. We don't have any of that. Like we have FCA like that you can voluntarily show up to if you like.
Mm-hmm.
And so just being able to invite guys, invite my teammates, invite people that are outside of my team, like it's made me go out of my comfort zone to go invite people and to try and connect with other people to try and get them to FCA or BCM or something like that. So I definitely say that was the biggest part is like getting me out of my comfort zone. Like obviously I'm a pretty outgoing person, but when you get me in a setting where I have to go up and talk to somebody, it's like, yeah, do I really want to do that?
I can understand that completely.
But getting out of my comfort zone was the biggest thing. Is like, all right, trusting that God, like, you're gonna get me through this. Like, it's not gonna be the end of the world. Like, if somebody hates me for coming up to him and asking him, like, so be it. So that was the biggest. I think that was the biggest part for me.
Yeah. Well, obviously, everybody has a story, and for lack of a better word, a bunch of them, for some reason, have all been baseball stories recently. From the first guy being Harper, talking about how a broken bat took him from going to a random university to DBU to further his faith, or whether it was simply just how football with Aaron Heatherly shaped how he believes and how he goes about his everyday life with his teammates as well in another sport. Everybody's got a story where God has just been so evident, and those kids screaming are hurting my ears. If y'all can't hear it, I'm sorry. If y'all can hear that, I'm sorry. But everybody's got a story where the Lord has just shown up big in their lives, whether it was simple stuff or whether it was just so huge that you can't forget it.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of want to ask, what story has God kind of been putting on your heart to share?
Um, I'd say the biggest. There's two stories that also go along with my testimony that like it's like all right, like this couldn't have happened without God.
Yeah.
And so one of them is during high school. It's after everything with my family, like passing away and all that kind of stuff happened. It was my sophomore year of high school baseball. So freshman year didn't happen because of COVID. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't play at all. I played a little bit of summer ball, stuff like that. And I was just trying to get reps. Like I was just trying to play.
Yeah.
And so sophomore year comes and I'm basically told I'm not good enough to be on the varsity squad. So I'm just kind of on JV and then showing up to varsity games and helping in whichever way I can so I can just be involved. And then come my junior year, I'm on varsity. I'm doing everything I need to be doing, and I'm starting at the beginning of the year. I feel like I'm pitching pretty good, and then I think I had like one bad game, and I didn't really pitch the rest of the year. And so it was just like, all right, God, like, what are you trying to do? Like, I'm at the point where I like don't even enjoy baseball right now. Like, and that's coming from a guy that's played baseball his entire life. Like, it just wasn't. It didn't satisfy me at that point, and it was like, all right, God, I got to find my identity in something else. Like I can't. I've tried to find my identity in baseball for so long that at this point I can't have an identity in something that I'm not doing all the time. And so it was at that point where God like used that in me to be like, your identity is not in baseball. Like your identity has never been in baseball. Your identity's in me. Like you're a follower of Christ. Like you're not just a baseball player. And so that's the biggest way that God's shown up in my life. It was like, all right, like God, you gave me baseball as a platform. You didn't give me baseball as like to fulfill me for the rest of my life. And if any of y'all like watch golf or anything, because Scotty Scheffler talks about it, it's like you he wins all these tournaments, and at the end of the day, it doesn't fulfill him. His relationship with God fulfills him, and so that's ultimately like where I got to is like, all right, like baseball doesn't fulfill me, like it never will, never has, like it just won't, and so that's where I had to dig deeper and like trust my faith, and I think it was the summer my sophomore year going into my junior year. We're at Carolina Creek for our Wild Week, which is our summer camp. And I'd been talking with my mom about this for like a year or so, and I was like, my life has changed completely, and I want to like show that to the like I want to show that proclaim that to the world. And so I got rededicated at camp that year, and I think that was the same year you and Bowman both got
That
baptized.
was me and my brother and Kevin all got baptized.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that. Dang,
Yeah.
we all got baptized.
And so that was really cool. That was a really cool experience for me. It was like, all right, like God, you are my identity. Like you are everything that you say you are. You are everything in my life. And so I'm gonna go proclaim it to the world that you are the one and only, and you are the one and only Savior of my heart and of everybody else's heart. And so it's just like that was a big part. And then another big thing that happened in my life. Oh no, going back to high school, right before my senior year, I started like I was at like 210 pounds, and that like for me that was like big. That was like big boy.
I
I
remember.
was pretty chubby at that point.
Pretty thick, man.
Yeah, and so I was
wish.
like I talked to my parents, and I was like I'm gonna be like I need to step my game up. Like I gotta do something, and so I got a trainer. I started doing nutrition. I started doing all that, and it's like all right, like I'm focused on this. Like I was digging deep into the word. I was doing my nutrition. I was taking care of my body. God calls us to take care of our bodies. And so that's what I was trying to do. I was taking care of my body. Right before senior year of high school, I dropped 20 pounds and I got down to 190 right before my senior year of high school. And so doing that, I was feeling the best. I was playing the best baseball I've ever played. And it was like, all right, God, you like gave me what I wanted back because I gave you everything. I asked you to take control of everything and you gave me everything that I wanted back. And it's like he'll rebuild you in front of the people that he tore you down in front of. And it's like that's so cool because you use me in a way that I never thought I'd be used. Like I thought I was done with baseball. Like I thought I wasn't gonna ever be good. I thought I was gonna not play again. And so it was like God, like you're rebuilding me in front of the people you tore me right down in front of. And so my senior year, I broke like 5 school records, and just like it was like God, like that's so cool. Like you took control of everything, and you did what I asked you to. Like you answered prayers, and it was like that's so cool because you don't. I don't think I'd really seen it firsthand. Like I didn't realize it firsthand until after my senior year. I was like, this is like you took control of everything, and you gave me everything that I ever wanted. And so um, yeah, that's just like God shows up in crazy ways. Like it's crazy how he does what he does, and it's like there's no other answer for it other than God. And going to the next story, a lot of people from Broadmoor know who this is, but my brother's roommate Stumpy, he went to ETBU too, and it was right before I don't know, was that your senior year, my junior year that he came to camp?
He came the year we got baptized.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
Yeah. So that year, he came to camp. My brother, like, we needed more volunteers to come to camp. So my brother texted his roommate group chat and was like, "Hey, do any of y'all want to come to camp? Like, it'll be paid for. Like, you just come and show up and volunteer." And so this guy named Stumpy,
We love Stumpy.
yeah, he he was like, yeah, I'll do it. Like that'll be fun. He's never really been to camp, never done any of that, and so at camp, like he kind of realized, like, all right, I got to turn my life around. Like my life is going down the wrong path. I got to turn this around. And it was, I think, later, like a little bit later into the school year, he got in a car wreck and passed away. And if my brother didn't send one invite, one text message, it was like that dude would be in hell right now. Like
Absolutely.
he wouldn't be living the best life in heaven right now if he didn't come to camp. If my brother didn't send an invite, it's like, God, you knew exactly what was going to happen. Like you knew exactly how his life was going to change and how his life was going to change for the better right before he came and saw you. And so that was a really cool moment in my life. Really cool moment for, like, obviously, like, you don't want somebody to die, obviously, but when you know that somebody just wanted to change their life around and give their life to Christ, it's like, all right, God, you know they're in a better place. Like you brought them home for a reason. It's not like we can't control that. Only God can. And it's like, all right, you did this in his life so that he would be with you instead of being in hell that day. So that was pretty cool.
I would say it's cool to kind of hear more than one version of the Stumpy story
Yeah.
because for me, it's really cool because I was really close with Stumpy for a bit as well when we got back from camp because Stumpy, that was my senior year actually going into my freshman year of college. And Stumpy and Chris were some of the only people I knew when I went to campus. So when Stumpy was, and I actually have a picture of this on my phone, we went to chapel one day, found out Stumpy passed away. It was really hard for a bunch of us, including your brother,
Mm-hmm.
who was probably the closest with Stumpy that
Yeah.
I know of. But it's always cool to kind of look back on how like even one simple invitation, whether it's to be a leader at camp or even to show up at camp,
Yeah.
can change somebody's life. And I mean, you've probably seen that firsthand this year with camp. Like some people that would never show up to church
Yeah.
get invited to camp, and it's at camp where they decide, man, my life needs to turn around.
Yep.
It's really cool to see that because I got to see that firsthand this year, and I know you did too. So
That's why I'm always big on like going to camp and being involved and doing all this because like I've seen what it does in my life. I've seen what it does in other people's life, and especially like people that are really close to me. I've seen what it does in their life, and it's just like it's life changing. Like that's why I do what I do whenever I come back home for college. It's like I wouldn't I wouldn't want it any other way because I've seen the way it changes people's life.
you always run back to what has changed your life, and you want
Mm-hmm.
to impact that as much as possible. I understand it too because I mean, heck, I worked at two different churches in 2 summers that have impacted my life more than they will ever know.
Yep.
And it's all because of camp, which is the coolest thing ever, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously, you're known for your baseball, but there's something else that you do that many people here might not know, and I've only known it for maybe, shoot, probably only 4 years, and I didn't know you did this until last year, like almost. I don't want to say religiously, but you're pretty good in the kitchen, aren't you?
I'd say maybe just a little bit.
You kind of want to walk us through what you do because I've heard bits and pieces over the past few years, but kind of tell them a little bit of what you do in the kitchen a little bit.
So my degree at Northwestern is hospitality management and tourism with a minor in culinary arts. And so right now I own my own business called K Rob's Kitchen, and I do it on the side. And like whenever I come back home, I'll sell pumpkin pies, pecan pies, like all this for Thanksgiving. And then during Christmas time, I'll do cinnamon rolls. And so it's just been something like a way for me to make a little bit of money on the side, but also do something that I love. And so it's been a blessing in disguise to be able to do that and to be able to figure out like what I want to do for the rest of my life, but also have a little bit of cash in the back pocket. So
I understand that one
yeah,
completely.
and it's also cool because it gives me so many more connections of like meeting all these people, but also meeting these people through something that I love, and that's like making food. And it's like putting my love into food makes it so much better for like because obviously if you're gonna cook food like you got to put a little bit of love into it. Like if you don't put a little bit of love into it, it's not gonna taste very good. But doing that and watching other people love my food is like it's been the biggest blessing because it's a way to connect with other people.
Absolutely, man. I've gotten to taste a little bit of this K Rob's Kitchen, and I will say, if you haven't heard of it before, now you have. hit him up, man. I will put the link in the video after everything. It is legit, it is worth it, and it is very tasty. So it's really cool to kind of see how you're putting yourself out there, not only with your degree, but also just in general.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's a great opportunity to go out, make those connections, because the longer you go in life, you'll always remember the connections you have, because they will put you a lot farther along in your career path than you will ever know.
For sure.
But I only got a few more questions, and I ask this to everybody because for me, it's kind of cool to see how God puts certain passages and stories of the Bible into our lives to kind of help us with our faith, but also help us even with our faith, just growing as a person and as a Christian. But everybody's got a
Don't
favorite.
be testing my biblical knowledge now. All right?
I'm not going to test it, but I am going to ask a question about it. I promise this isn't a test. But what is one story in the Bible? This isn't a trivia question, by the way. I promise you. But
sounds like it.
It isn't, but it's a personal question for you because it's kind of your favorite. But what is a story in the Bible that you feel like God has kept on your heart during your walk with Christ and even to now that you feel like God has always kept close to you, that's helped you not only prolong but also strengthen your faith?
It's gonna sound so like cliche, but I think David and Goliath is always one that I run to, just because I've always been that kid that's been younger for my grade. That's always been. I feel like I've been the one that's always been kind of overlooked a little bit, and so always going back to that story, it's like David was overlooked. Like David was the least likely candidate to go and defeat Goliath, and it was like, God, you can use anybody. You can use me to go and play Division I baseball, and it's like I was the least likely person probably to do that, but you use me and use my or allowing me to use my platform that I have now to further your kingdom, and it's like, dang, that's so cool because he can literally use a rock on the sidewalk to teach somebody about the gospel, and it's like that's so crazy because like how is that even possible? So
That's
but yeah.
awesome. Hey, that's awesome. And trust me when I say it is not cliche because David and the Goliath, I've heard that story a million times. And I know you have too growing up in this
Yeah.
church and they talk about it a lot, but the reason being is because it has had such a huge impact for those of us who might feel a little smaller, might be a little younger, but always know that God uses the small and the weak to prolong his ministry and to promote his ministry. Not I wouldn't say promote, but push out his word in every way possible and spread the gospel.
For sure.
So, one more question, and this also isn't trivia. It's kind of based off of the last question, but it's kind of cool to see how like everybody's got a certain part of the Bible, obviously a story, but everybody also, and I wouldn't consider it just your life verse, but everybody's got a verse of the Bible that they've always, whether it's just always been in their family or it's always just been on their heart since they've accepted Christ. It's always been like that's the first thing you always think of.
Mhm.
And some say John 3:16, and that's understandable, but everybody's got a certain verse. Like mine is 2 Timothy 1:7, and only until recently I started showing that with the switching a number on my chain to being able to share the gospel that way. But everybody's got a certain verse, and I just kind of want to ask, like, what is your life verse, a verse that's always just been close in your heart that you've always shared with people? But what would that verse be for you?
I kind of said it earlier, but it's Jeremiah 29:11, which we use it in our we use it in our house. We use it for decoration. We'll use it for our Wi-Fi at the house. Like
This
we
is
use it.
true. I've been to their house. It's legit.
Yeah, we use it everywhere, and it's like it's a verse that my family's always gone by. It's a verse I put on my glove whenever I customize my glove for school. It's like it's something I can always look at and be like, God, you have a plan. Like there's no right or wrong. Like you're giving me, you have that plan for my life. So everything that I do, you've already planned it out, and it's cool. It's I know the plans I have for you to prosper you, not to harm you, to give you a hope in the future. And it's like God, you're living that like I'm that verse is living out through each and every one of us because each and every one of us have that story and have that purpose through life, and it might not show up now, it might not show up in 5 years, it might not show up in 3 months, but it's going to show up at some point, and God has that plan for each and every one of us, and it's like, all right, let me just going back to the trust. Like I got to trust that the plan that you have is to prosper my life, and so just having that trust that God is going to do that throughout my life.
Well, that's awesome. I love that verse. I think it's a really cool verse. I've heard it a couple times this summer through people that have been on here, and it's really cool to see how putting your trust in God and knowing the plans that He has for us is just so profound. Because I mean, even with you and me working at a church different churches this summer, we didn't know what we were in for, even if we'd been through it for the past like 10 years of our life.
Yeah.
But we understood that God put us there for a reason
Mhm.
and gave us the opportunity to do that. So we trusted in that. And I mean, we've both seen some crazy, amazing things
Yeah.
happen this summer. So,
For sure.
well, I don't really have any more questions unless you have any more stories or anything that you want to share from the summer that have been real impactful or anything. But
Paxton, you don't ever get asked questions on these, do you?
I do a bit, I guess. But what you got?
Let's go. What's your favorite story in the Bible?
Ooh. For me, it's actually, and this kind of has to do with the everyday witness and why I actually call it that. But it's in Acts. I don't know the specifics of it. I believe it's Acts 8 or 9. I could be wrong. You could probably look it up if you want. But it's about Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch. Now, during this time, Philip, I believe, is in a city where he is trying to spread the gospel, but the Lord calls him and he says, go towards a certain place. And this is bad because I literally read this yesterday and I don't remember what the places are. But he sends him on his way.
Is that ADHD kicking in?
It really is, dude. But the idea of the story is that while he's on his way, he comes across a eunuch from Ethiopia, one who is not really religious. And those people weren't really too religious and didn't really believe in God then. But when the Lord told Philip to go talk to this eunuch, he found out that he was reading the prophet Isaiah. And he was reading Isaiah and he didn't understand it. So he asked Philip if he could explain it to him. And while he's explaining it, he asks him certain questions and all these cool things. And out of nowhere, they find this pool of water. We don't know where it came from. We don't know why it was there. But we know that God put it there for a reason. And the eunuch, and they were talking about baptism. The eunuch's like, there's a pool of water. What is stopping me from getting baptized right now? And they literally get out. They baptize him. Philip baptizes him in this pool, brings him out. And it's just like, that doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really cool because like everyday people like Philip, because these are, I mean, the disciples and even the people that were brought in after like Stephen and Philip and all them after Jesus went to heaven, they were everyday people. They were teenagers, for crying out loud. They're young, probably younger than us. But God called them, even being everyday people, whether it was tax collectors, fishermen, to be a witness to people. And it's kind of cool to see because like he wasn't expecting that. He wasn't expecting the impact, but he trusted God's plan and he trusted God to listen to him and to see what his idea was. And he went, and right there, he was able to be a true witness, not knowing how it was going to affect the eunuch's life or his own. And he just did it. And it's just cool to see, like, if we have the same faith that he did and the trust in God to just go when God tells us to, like, we never know what's going to happen. Like, he could tell you to, like, for me, and this is a little life story because I hate talking. But I love
You
it.
do not hate talking.
I know, it's a joke. But for me, like, and you probably know this because I don't know, I talked to you a little bit about why I kind of retired from playing basketball recently. But like for me, this past year, getting back from injury and playing basketball one more season, at the end, it was like I didn't feel, you probably know this because you kind of already talked about it with your little story, but like I didn't feel the same satisfaction and happiness when I was playing basketball anymore. And it was just like I want to feel like I want to be able to feel like what, regardless of what I do, I'm having an impact, and I want to feel that happiness again. And I found it when I literally took off a week of basketball to go serve at a D now in Decatur, Texas. And for my Decatur people, y'all know what I'm talking about because y'all got to hang out with me, and that was awesome. But I got back and realized that affected my playing time of basketball, and I was like, I just didn't really feel happy playing basketball anymore. And it was a decision I had to pray about a lot. And I thank God for helping me with that. But I realized that my impact is more in the ministry than it is on the court. And it's cool to kind of see how like God, literally, I listened to God through that. Cause like, I didn't want to give it up. I wanted to play this year for one last year. And it was just like, I understood that I can have an even more bigger impact taking away basketball than I can being able to just focus solely on what God is trying to do and what God is pushing me to do through ministry than I can if I was focused so much on dribbling a basketball and trying to know if I'll ever make the next dunk or 3-pointer I put up. So Yeah.
That's cool. Like going back to like each one of our stories, it's like you can't have either one of our stories without trusting. Like having that trust in God, like that's cool that you can hear other people's stories and it's like it all comes back to one thing and that's having that trust in God. It's like that's like if you listen to anybody's story, like it's gonna be just trusting. Like you have to trust and you have to step out in faith. Like God calls us to step out in faith and just trust Him that if He calls you to do something crazy or something that you think isn't the right thing to do, like God has called you to do that for a reason. So step out in faith and just trust Him. So
I mean, it's kind of cool to see for me because like these are the conversations I love, and
yeah,
this is why I did this because like I've known you for most of my life since, and pretty much my entire life since I moved to Louisiana, and I've gotten to see you go from this kid that was just like literally just like me, trying to figure out what was going on, did not know what was happening, but he trusted that even through his sport, God was still going to use him and grow him with certain trials in his life, but still prolong you to the point where you can use your sport and what you know about the Lord and the gospel to share your faith even in the midst of all the darkness you might be in, whether it was during sports or it was just during everyday life. And it's
sure.
just cool to see because like we've both seen each other kind of grow in that
Mm-hmm.
way over the past few years because like we've been so close with Broadmoor doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, God's freaking awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
You don't
It's
even
just
you don't even think about it until you start like reflecting on it. It's like, wow, like what like God, who am I for you to choose me to do all this in my life? And it's like that's crazy.
And
So
even then, he still chose us and he's still using us today and will continue to use us till the day we die.
for
And the
sure.
day he calls us up to be with him to see how God really was planning. And it's really cool to see because, like, you think about that, like, I've always had these, like, ideas of questions that I want to ask God. I was like, man, why'd you pick me?
Yeah.
Like, why did all the, like, I want to know, like, how he did this. Because, like, for me, I did not deserve this. I still go through struggles that he knows to this day and struggles that any man goes through and struggles that like any regular person that sins every day, which is everybody, goes through. And he still used even the low and weary to proclaim his word. I mean, he left the 99 for the one. He used fishermen and tax collectors to be the biggest outputs for his faith. Like, I mean,
For sure.
come on now.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with Messi or LeBron? And like, why not use those people? And he still didn't. He used the ones that you never hear about, the athletes that and the people and the businessmen and the workers and all that that you never want to hear from to be the biggest influences in the life of Christians.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just really cool to see.
Yeah. For sure.
I'm trying to think. I don't really have anything else. I mean, this has been fun for me just being back in Shreveport, being able to introduce y'all to some of the people who've been real impactful in my life. K Rob over here. But it's just really cool for y'all to see kind of back where I'm from, how I've been impacted by the lives of just so many amazing, cool people.
1000%.
And if y'all are interested in watching this kid or buying some of his merch, y'all should definitely hit up his My Player account. That sounds like a 2K thing, but you understand what I'm talking about. I'll drop his Instagram and everything for y'all to follow him and to keep up with him this year as he goes into his second to last year of baseball this year with the Demons. And if y'all look for tickets, he can probably put you on with that as well. But for those of y'all that have been listening and have watched this far, thank y'all so much. I'm excited to share a few more people in Shreveport with y'all before I head back to campus. But even then, thank y'all for tuning in. And Kevin, pleasure as
Appreciate
always.
you having me.
Absolutely. Y'all stay blessed. And remember, you are always going to be an everyday witness. Peace out.